day two of German Chancellor Olaf Scholz's trip to China. He's called for more trade with Europe, but says there must be a level playing field. And he's warned that geopolitical tensions are causing many companies to reassess their investments in China.
It's a German company with a long tradition. IBM Papst has made and sold ventilation systems and fans in China for nearly 3 decades. Its business there is a success, and yet the company is playing it safe, making operations in both Germany and China self-sufficient. That's because of frequent supply chain disruptions. A new head office in Shanghai could help with those plans. We've been already doing local for many years, and we are trying to decouple supply chains. And we're also trying to develop and prepare for different scenarios with various plans. For instance, we can relocate production from China to India within 2 to 3 months, even though that's not something we expect to do now. More German companies are including decoupling plans in their strategies so that business can continue amid geopolitical tensions. China, too, is trying to reduce dependence on other countries by strengthening its domestic market. China remains Germany's top trade partner, with a trade volume of around 253 billion euros. Germany mostly exports cars and auto parts to China, in addition to various machinery. That makes it one of China's top 5 trade partners. But now, with China's increasing dominance in the electric vehicle industry, more Chinese-made EVs are coming to Germany. Their lower prices are putting German car makers under pressure. It's the same with solar panels and wind turbines. Chinese products are massively subsidized by Beijing, and European manufacturers can barely compete. Chinese product prices push them to the brink of ruin. That's why Germany and the European Commission are taking measures to curb unfair competition and protect the domestic market. They are considering introducing tariffs on select Chinese products.
Beijing correspondent Fabian Kretschmer joins us. Business is on the agenda today, as you heard, but Olaf Scholz also met students this morning.
Yes, so he's in Shanghai right now. That was a day that was probably focused on business. He visited a German company, the innovation center of a German company that's producing synthetic materials. Then later he had a discussion with students at the Tongji University. And from what I heard, there was also quite a funny moment. One student asked the German Chancellor that he's worried to go to Germany next semester, where he is supposed to study because of the recent cannabis legalization. And then the German Chancellor had to defend that decision. So there was more like a unscripted discussion with the students. And later the Chancellor will have one event with the German Chamber of Commerce, because Shanghai is the traditional base of the German economy here. And later we'll have a dinner with the party secretary of Shanghai.
How is the Chancellor doing with balancing business interests with China?
Well, I mean, I think tomorrow evening we can make an assessment, because he will have the political talks tomorrow with Li Qiang, the Prime Minister, and also Xi Jinping, and then we can see how the public statements from the Chinese side will be, whether there will be some concessions, etc. But I think the challenges that he is facing, this balancing act, is really very, very delicate and challenging. So this is a structural issue. The German companies here are complaining that the competition with China is increasingly unfair, that there's a lot of subsidies that are not according to WTO rules. There's the problem of overcapacities, etc. So they demand a level playing field, and basically it all also comes down to the weak domestic consumption here in China. So China is relying on cheap exports that it's dumping on the world markets because the domestic consumers are not buying the products. So those structural issues cannot be solved overnight. They cannot be solved over a couple of months. This is really goes much deeper. And so I think we will see, but definitely that's the message that Olaf Scholz is trying to convey here. But there's also a lot of critique because he's coming with a lot of CEOs from DAX companies. And critics say that this is the wrong signal. This signals business as usual and not a different approach.
The DAX companies being Germany's biggest listed corporations, of course. Just tell us lastly, with Iran's attack on Israel, how's that affecting the Chancellor's visit to China?
Yeah, that is so. He heard about the news halfway on his plane flying to China and then immediately sent out a written statement. And Scholz also changed his schedule a little bit. For example, there was a boat trip planned along the Yangtze River that was cut short. Probably because of the wrong optics at this point. And also, of course, when he gets a lot of one-on-one time, like talks with Xi Jinping and Li Qiang, I think Scholz will use his time to also debate about that. And actually, China's position is quite different from Germany's. So the statement that China sent out condemning the attack in Israel was rather cautious, and Iran is a very important supplier of oil for China. So there is some discrepancy, and I'm sure that will be debated.
Fabian Kretschmer, thank you very much for bringing us the latest from Beijing.